Okay. Well, there's been a lot of talk about the Russians intervening in the election that we just had more than a month ago, which was not only for president but for various Senate seats and the House of Representatives. And of course, no one really has been accusing the Russians of being involved in the local elections, but they were there on the ballot too, the state and more localized elections. And I mean, it's just let's say that it is true, which it's very. I mean, it seems unlikely, but let's say that it is true. What is it that they want to do about this? I mean, what would they? First of all, number one, it seems to me, I could be wrong, that there's really nothing that they could do about Russia. Really, I mean, unless they really want to cause the biggest catastrophe yet, probably ever, there's really nothing that they could do. And maybe the more likely idea that's coming from, because it's mostly the so-called liberals doing this, is more the ones that are Hillary Clinton supporters, is that they want to overturn the election. And it seems to me that's a very dangerous road to go down too, and would, boy, that would cause lots of trouble too. But also, it just seems to me like the entire ruling class of the United States of America is in deep crisis, and there must be a great division, you would think, within the ruling class, except it might even be worse than that. And I'm just sort of throwing these things out because it's very puzzling to me how the United States has become so ridiculous. Politically ridiculous, we've become. And it might be even worse than that there's only a small segment of the ruling class that really supports Donald Trump. And really, as it looked like during the lead up to the election, the majority of the sort of elite, the chattering classes, the ruling class, the media, the rest of them, supported Hillary Clinton. And yet, Trump managed to win the election, incredibly enough. Which means maybe they are counting the votes. I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with. Is maybe they really do count the votes. So, to put this, and this gets more twisted as we go along, to put it into even a greater perspective, what I've noticed, in Twitter and in other places, but on Twitter, certainly, is that it seems to be that some of the same people that are opposed to confrontation with Russia, who happen to be more conservative, they seem to be inclined towards confrontation with Iran, even perhaps war with Iran. Now this is, to me, is very messed up too. You trade one potential disaster for another. Sure, war with Russia is far more dangerous, being that Russia is the second most powerful country in the world, but war with Iran is not desirable. War with anybody is not desirable, but these enemies that they choose, it just gets more and more outrageous. And you would think that people would have learned after Iraq, after Libya, after this mess that they've caused in Syria, that they're now trying to accuse Russia, and I don't know what the truth is, but it seems as though they're using the accusations as a way of, sort of trying to just shame or convince or, sort of just, I don't know what the word is. It's a way of influencing Russia, telling Russia and Syria that they have to stop their operations against what the government of Syria sees as being terrorists, operating terrible perpetrating terrible crimes within their country. Maybe there's truth to what they're saying, but it's to me it seems unlikely, and it seems that the people who are saying this, Samantha Power and others, lack all credibility. So how can you believe them? How can you believe after everything they've done? They're going to accuse Russia, of war crimes and things like this. Putting all that aside, I think the real reason that all this is happening, including the accusations of election tampering and everything else, is because Russia and Syria, but more to the point, Russia, is basically, they're winning the war in Syria. I mean, they're accomplishing the sort of taking back the territory of Syria that they wanted to control. And very likely this all has to do with pipelines, with gas pipelines. This is kind of things you can find out if you look around enough. And oddly enough, one of those gas pipelines from the map that I saw seems to, pipelines that they want to build, future pipelines, seems to run through Aleppo. So, I mean, now we're being told there's Russians everywhere, and they're involved in everything, and there's, practically, what are we? Like Putin said in one of his videos, are we now a third world country? And it is very ironic that the very people that have overthrown governments, in the third world, are the very ones that are saying now, there's Russians everywhere. Meanwhile, I saw at the end of RT's Crosstalk, the latest one of the guests who has an affiliation with Counterpunch said that Google is now using its algorithm to keep Counterpunch stuff sort of out of the news search function of Google. I don't know if that's true, and I haven't been able to find anything about it since I saw it. It was weird because he said it at the very end of the crosstalk, and that should have been the entire focus of this particular crosstalk. I mean, actually, they sort of were talking about, they were talking about other things too, but it seemed so important. It was just odd that he dropped it right at the end of the show, and that was it, and with no follow-up. And I haven't been able to find out anything soon, and I can't tell really from checking out the news search, function. It's hard to tell if they're hiding things from you or if things that you want to come up just aren't appearing. I mean, there's no way of really knowing, I think. Anyway, this wasn't my best attempt at a video. Not many people see my videos anyway, as I've said before, but it's just some reflections on the current state of things. And as George Carlin once said, this country's finished. Except I don't even know if that's true anymore, because there would have been a time when I would have been able to predict how that things were going to get worse, and I would have been right, apparently. Now I can't tell you. I can't make predictions now. It's so, we are in a time of flux, and we live in interesting times, that's for sure. All right.